Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sierra Smith. I'm a seven-figure Etsy optimization specialist, Etsy consultant, and business analyst who has scaled 280 plus Etsy shops over the past 6 years. My team and I specialize in holistic optimization of Etsy shops, which includes a data-driven, target customer-centric foundation and framework that guides holistic optimization of listings. So visuals, SEO, price points, offers, storytelling, scarcity tactics, everything that you'd possibly need to scale an Etsy based business. And in this video, we are breaking down a very exciting product launch success story on Etsy. The product was launched in late November to early December and had hit 14.4K in sales by December 17th, which was the shop's Christmas cutoff date. Here we're looking at all-time stats. Just to quickly walk you all through this. This was what we're calling the market leading listing. This is the best selling listing of the product. We see it made 11.8K in sales thus far. We click into another variant of the listing. This product was essentially it was a very miniature product line. So we had two variations within the listings. It was a cream colored blanket and then it was also a gray colored blanket. So across all the listings, we can kind of add up all the price points together, and that's where we get like the consecutive revenue that we did make from the product. But if we didn't want to focus too much on the gray product, at least the gray blanket was showcased on this hero image, but it also did offer that cream colored variant as well. This one that featured the gray variant had made 3.1K in sales by, well, all time. Again, we're saying start date here, December 2nd. 1.1K in sales. We see $555, $558, $242, and then $172. So across the listings that offer this same product, we added numbers, and that's how we're getting to these, pretty impressive numbers for this. Essentially, it is a new product that we launched in this Etsy shop. So really impressive numbers for a blanket product, which is believed to be a saturated market, and it is a saturated market. But we're going to be touching on how to have a similar success story in your own Etsy shops by finding market gaps and value gaps that you can fill and launch a product and really immediately start making strong sales of your own. And I'll be real with you, LinkedIn did see it first. I shared a snapshot on December 9th when the listing had first passed 5.1K in revenue as seen here, but just showing that really strong growth year over year in this shop. We do see revenue increased 53% compared to the same period last year. That was a 30-day snapshot, and then we saw for that 7-day snapshot from December 3rd to December 9th, we saw revenue had increased 124% compared to the same period last year. Pretty decent conversion rate too, which was at that 2.7% for those 7 days, and revenue was at 9.6K. So that was pretty impressive and largely thanks to that blanket listing. So now we're going to touch on the real reason that this worked, a market gap and a value gap. I touched on that real quickly earlier, but first, the market gap. We didn't compete for broad terms like blanket or even throw blanket. We found blanket related long tail keywords with strong buyer intent that were not overly saturated. So the kind of searches that signaled the customer already knows what they want and is ready to buy. That's typically how they search. They elongate their search at that point because they do know what they want to purchase. So that really is what a market gap is. It's a keyword with relatively high competition, or sorry, relatively high search volume and relatively low competition. Now, a value gap, that is more so figuring out what the market has a need for or a demand for. So in this space, the market had a demand for something more premium, but a lot of listings weren't communicating premium fast enough from search, from Etsy search, side by side, competing listings. So we position the product around premium material plus personalization in a way that reads instantly at a thumbnail level. So not only had we found some overlapping areas of demand concerning keywords that were related to each other, but all had relatively high search volume and relatively low competition, we also did some competitor research. You really have to do whenever you're trying to enter a market on Etsy to again understand the needs for that market. We analyzed customer reviews, we looked over those listings, looked over that search facing perspective for the listings, like the hero image slash thumbnail, the price point, that entry level price point particularly. We looked over beginning of the titles. We looked over like ship time and cost for shipping and all the different badges that do show up from Etsy search. But also when you click into a listing, we looked over kind of that storytelling process, how they're communicating their product's unique selling points and things like that. So we pretty deeply analyzed the listings and the customer reviews, and we allowed that to tell us essentially where are there gaps in the market and how are we going to communicate how our product essentially serves those gaps. We did so, we communicated it both visually and textually. So on the cover photo, we did showcase premium personalization on a leather label, but we also used text overlays to communicate the other USPs that we knew our customers did care about. Some of those other value propositions that we communicated from the hero image included essentially like the material of the product. So Irish merino wool, that was something customers cared about. It contributed to the storytelling, it contributed to the SEO, and it immediately made the listing stand out side by side its competitors. Again, it was in text on that hero image, communicated fast shipping, lots of different things you can communicate. It's going to vary by market. Now, for you, if you want faster traction, don't start with product ideas. Start with keywords, like we just briefly touched on. You want to use the data that you have available to you. So, if you have an Etsy shop already, you're going to have the Etsy Marketplace Insights tab to work with, which is a newer tab that was released the last couple of months. It's very new and it's very exciting because it is data directly from Etsy. They're giving you search volume stats, they're giving you competition stats, and they're even giving you trend lines over the last 30 days. So it can be really helpful for understanding the keyword market gaps on Etsy at that time. So you want to find keywords that are, again, have high search volume and relatively low competition. That is the objective. And you can also use your shop's internal data if you do have internal data to work with. You have listings, you've had sales. Definitely your internal data is your treasure trove. That's where you want to start. You want to start with those. Essentially, typically you want to start with pulling keywords directly from your Etsy ads if you're running Etsy ads, because you're paying essentially for that data and Etsy's giving you a lot more traffic for it. So you have a lot more data to work with. You have click rate, you have return on ad spend, you have orders, you have revenue, you have views, you have clicks. You got a lot of you have a lot of data to work with right there. So typically those are going to be your highest value. Say like treasure trove for data is just your Etsy ads keywords, especially on your top viewed listings. So definitely start there. Start with pulling out those keywords that have high click rates and strong return on ad spend. And those are really going to help you figure out, okay, this is an opportunity in the market. And then you can further validate and understand the trend line, understand a deeper understanding of the search volume and competition by additionally running searches on Etsy Marketplace Insights using those keywords. But honestly, your internal data in itself can be more than enough. If you just run searches on Etsy, search, go in an incognito window or guest modes that your past search behavior or engagement behavior is not factoring into your search results or your search suggestions, and see what your competitors are looking like when you run those searches. And that's really also going to help you to understand. You kind of already validated that the market's not extremely competitive, or at least that there's a bit of a gap in it. If you have a listing that keyword is bringing high clicks, it has a high click rate, and it also has a strong return on ad spend. So at that point, you just want to understand what your competitors are looking like, so that if you do bring a new product to the market or you want to redo a listing, you know exactly how to redo it. You know what the exact gaps and the exact opportunities are in the market. So you can both, again, visually and textually communicate how your product exceeds your competitors and it meets all your customers' pain points, has, it's filling all their competitive advantages, it's meeting all their purchasing intents. You want your listings to communicate that ideally just like that as soon as they see the listing, but of course use all your visuals to really expand on how your listing meets your customers' needs. And then there's external tools. These are third party, they're support, they're not direction, and I really do try to use them a bit more for validation purposes, but you can also use them for getting some product ideas. eRank and Everbee are the top two third-party tools that I recommend. eRank also helps a little bit more with finding like trend lines, and you can really quickly understand if a listing, or rather if a keyword has high search volume and low competition. They color code it for you. Both the numbers will be green. That in itself is basically a market gap. I do always try to validate that data as well using Etsy search itself to look over what that search page is looking like, how many search results are we seeing, what those competitors are looking like. And then I also like to see if Etsy search is suggesting the keyword that we did just pull, because oftentimes Etsy's not going to suggest it if nobody's searching for it. So I like to also kind of analyze and validate any data that I do get from a third party tool like eRank or Everbee, but they can be really helpful for finding additional product opportunities. And Everbee has a keyword score column that essentially is going to tell you if a keyword is a market gap. If it has a high keyword score, in their eyes, it's 100 or more. That's what they say is a high keyword score. But I would say the higher, the better. As long as it's a sensible English keyword, in this case, that's going to be the market gap that you want to go for. If it has a really high keyword score and it's a real word, then definitely take note. And I do really like Everbee for finding market gaps. Now, let's say you've found a market gap. Now, your question is, how am I going to enter that market competitively? Or again, if you already have a product that you just want to kind of redo the storytelling, the marketing, whatever. These are the top performing segments they usually share three traits. So high quality, that's obvious from search. So that can be visually communicated if you want to enhance the texture or the clarity on that hero image or get kind of close up on the product. Personalization or customization is huge on Etsy. That's definitely worth communicating on your listing hero image, again, visually, and trying to do so in a way that elevates the product. There, I could touch more on that, but just personalization that does not look tacky or cheesy. And then a gift ready experience. So if you offer that product in a gift box, any kind of really beautiful presentation, you definitely want that to be also part of that hero image. We did check all those boxes with this listing that we, of course, the case study that we're going over here, but really those work across most markets. Again, analyze your competitor reviews and analyze your best selling competitors. Those are also going to help you a lot with understanding what you need to communicate about those listings. But again, high quality personalization and a gift ready experience, those tend to be relatively universal across markets on Etsy. And again, do not overlook the importance of storytelling. So if that material is unique, definitely communicate it. If anything about the product or even your brand story is unique, I would definitely communicate that from that hero image, beginning of the title, somewhere customers can see from search. This is where split tests can come into play. You can duplicate your listings. You can change the hero image. You can change the beginning of the title. You can play around with different things to see what leads to the highest click rate and the highest conversion rate overall. Again, don't overlook the importance of a wow reaction on Etsy. Oftentimes, you'll see listings that perform the best are naturally products that are just unique and that are going to have a wow reaction. So, absolutely do try to prioritize products that are more unique. So, touching on this slide here, we see a bit of a long tail keyword formula for the title. But I really just want to stress the importance of front loading with keywords that communicate the most value about the product. You still do want to find keywords that 100% you do know customers are searching for on Etsy. But once you kind of have a bit of a keyword pool, you want to front load with that keyword that actually communicates value. So in this case, something like personalized and then Irish merino wool blanket made a lot of sense, or even just Irish merino wool blanket if we are communicating that personalization from that hero image. Just something, if you have all those keywords, you want to begin the title because that's what customers are going to see from search, the beginning of the title. And you want that to, again, elevate that perceived value of the product. And just on the SEO side of things, for right now, what we are seeing is that longer titles are still continuing to perform at or even slightly better than shorter titles. I do know Etsy has been pushing a lot of title suggestion and guidance over these last couple of months, but there's been a lot of confusion about possibly whether you need to shorten all your titles. And for right now, this is late December. I'm still seeing that long titles are doing more. They're doing the job. They are bringing in lots of traffic. They're helping out with early visibility on listings. But again, tags are also pulling a lot of weight too. So Ultimately, you might want to do split tests for your own market to see what listings are going to drive the most traffic. I'm not going to touch too much on that for now, just because it does like Etsy's been making a lot of changes to their algorithm, but I'm still, filling up titles with long tail keywords. So that's 3 to 4 word keywords, exact matching for those keywords. So explicitly typing them out using commas and other dividers to keep the titles pretty readable. Because I do know that they've said their algorithm is leaning more and more on AI. So still trying to keep it decently readable, but still prioritizing those long tail keywords and going after those same keywords within the tags. And that's really still just been helping with ensuring strong visibility on listings. So we've touched a lot on the hero image and like the search facing perspective of the listings. I do want to touch on reducing risk. In this shop's case, they're not a new shop, but if you are a new shop, but really with any new listing that doesn't have any reviews yet, you do want to do what you can to reduce risk for customers who are going to be buying that product basically the first time. They have no real reason to trust that product or you, especially if you're a new shop. So you do want to reduce risk, and that tends to be offering free returns and exchanges. That's a really big way you can do that. Offer some kind of guarantee, so happiness guarantee or love it guarantee. We didn't have to do that with this listing in particular. We did have personalization on that listing, and this shop already had some really, really strong reviews working in its favor. But you digitally have to do that for new listings if you really want to see quick sales quickly. And there's not even going to be that many buyers who do request those returns or exchanges. So it almost always more than pays for itself. And then I would also say to have listing images that again visually communicate your guarantees, your returns and exchange policies. Even if you don't offer them, just communicate your commitment to ensuring that that customer is happy with their purchase. Any trust cues, so showcasing customer reviews, even if you have them on maybe another platform, anything that you can communicate about your brand story or who you are as the seller, that would again reduce risk in the eyes of your customers. Now, here's the part that most people ignore. Operations can actually be a growth lever on Etsy. Etsy rewards reliability, and this is mattering more and more. Their customer service metrics, or your customer service metrics rather, they really weigh into your rankings and how Etsy, essentially, I say rankings, but it's really just how they, how high up they show your listings and search for their customers. So when a listing starts getting traction, Etsy is essentially testing, can the shop handle demand without problems? So operational consistency matters. You have to be able to have fast, consistent fulfillment. You need to be able to reach, exceed or be within your ship time frames. That's really important to Etsy. Responsive customer service, on time shipping, and a clean personalization flow that prevents mistakes. That's just going to help with making sure you don't have any kind of case rate against you if customers start filing cases. And this does matter a lot actually for Etsy search visibility. So I would definitely say, we're going to put a listing up. You've done all this research. Please be prepared to actually fulfill those orders so that you don't have to deactivate the listing or pause the listing or even just run into negative customer experience. It's really negative customer service experiences because you're not fulfilling your orders on time. This is really going to hurt your listing. So in this shop, we have had more than enough blankets to fulfill these orders, and that was able to allow us to build traction really, really quickly, get the orders coming in, didn't have to pause, deactivate that, the listing, which does pause all the traction that that listing is getting. Now, as a bit of a cheat sheet and action list to replicate this, you want to start with long tail keywords that buyers use when they're ready to purchase. You want to use Etsy's Marketplace Insights tab, as well as your own shop's stats and ads data, or third-party tools if you don't really have internal data. You want to prioritize keywords that are tied to high click rate or high return on ad spend if you do have Etsy ads data to work with. You want to run a competitor SWOT scan, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's really just a competitive analysis to find weaknesses that you can outposition. That same slant, you also want to run those customer reviews analysis. You want to make sure that you're fully understanding your target customer profiles and how you can best serve them. Really, really define that visual storytelling strategy, that overall storytelling strategy, to be honest with you. Really, how you're going to market that listing from search. It's going to be a really big focal point as you do the analysis. You want to look for premium material plus giftable plus personalized opportunities. You want to communicate premium instantly from search, that hero image plus title. Front load, even that entry level price point can play in your favor. This listing was $97, and we can see that that clearly did not hurt traction. It just helped with revenue. But we, of course, justified that value by communicating a lot of value about that product in the hero image and that title front load. Then you also want to keep your fulfillment airtight. And then when momentum hits, you want to optimize in real life. So as you saw, or real time, as you saw with that listing, as soon as we saw it was getting a lot of traction, we also duplicated it and started making other listings. So we were also able to further capitalize on that traction, widen the targeting a bit more, and make a lot more sales. So especially if there are other variations that you can showcase, you really want to have a listing that showcases each variation that you offer by itself on a hero image, and you also have listings that showcase multiple variations together on that hero image. Now, if you're an established Etsy shop and you want clarity, momentum, and listings built from real data, not guesswork, that's the work that we specialize in. We build the full strategy, keyword intelligence, gap positioning, conversion optimization, and scalable operations. If you want help identifying your strongest internal keyword signals and mapping the fastest path to your next breakout listing, reach out. And if you